Should the Menendez brothers, who have admitted to killing their parents, do they deserve to be resentenced and or given clemency or even parole? Resentencing has been rescheduled indefinitely, and no new date has been set. The brothers were watching from a San Diego prison on Zoom without making any reactions or making any statements. On May 9th, there will be a discussion on admissibility of a state parole board's risk assessment regarding whether or not their release could be safe for not only the citizens and also determining whether or not they have been rehabilitated during their 35 years in prison. So the family came prepared to testify that the brothers had been rehabilitated. However, that didn't go forward. Instead, the admissibility of a state parole board risk assessment was on the menu, as well as determining if they pose a risk to the community if they're actually released. The defense wanted this report kept out. The DA called this report a necessary puzzle for the judge to determine whether or not they should be released or not, that it's needed by the judge. DA Hochman caused definite stir with a graphic photo that essentially led one of the older relatives who's suffering from colon cancer to have some drastic effects from it. There was no warning. The deputy DA, Belial, I believe, did apologize, but said that it was necessary to see the photo to know what Eric and Lyle had done. The Menendez brothers' attorneys indicated that this was disrespectful, given that the family had nothing to do with that. The deputy DA did apologize, but he later added that Eric and Lyle Menendez caused the carnage, not me. So after that all went down, the DA actually filed for a continuance, asking that the resentencing be continued until the judge could go through the risk assessment report. The defense is essentially hoping that the Judge Jesic, will allow them to be either released outright, have maybe potential parole eligibility. They are also pursuing another route with asking for clemency or mercy from the governor, Gavin Newsom from California. The defense attorney, as part of his argument, has said that the brothers have done more good and helped more prisoners than anyone could have expected that they would have helped in their nearly 3.5 decades behind bars. So the DA argues, however, he has already admitted that he is really not in favor of resentencing. He argues that these murders were calculated, premeditated, and cold-blooded. DA Hochman also says, our position is clear. Until the Menendez brothers finally come clean with all their lies of self-defense and attempting to suborn or induce a jury to essentially assist them in committing perjury or attempting to commit perjury, he says that he does not feel that they are rehabilitated and that they pose an unreasonable risk and danger to public safety. One of their cousins, Amanda Baralt, says that the brothers have been rehabilitated in prison, and they have accepted responsibility and shown remorse for the crimes that they have committed. They've repeatedly taken responsibility for those crimes. The state parole board will actually conduct separate hearings for both brothers on June 13th and then send a report to Governor Newsom, who will decide if the brothers deserve clemency. In 2023, 2 pieces of evidence that seem to corroborate the brothers' story came out regarding the sexual abuse. I believe both of those were in form of a letter, and then also I believe there was another victim of Jose Menendez, the father. Newsom has indicated that he's watched some media, but ultimately he's really concerned about just the facts. I mean, that's what he wants to assess. He's completed the risk assessment and report. He had completed the risk assessment and let the court know and he notified the court earlier this week. So that was supposed to kind of be something that was going to be talked about in the hearing, and then everything just went crazy. Apparently confusion stemmed from what was in the reports and whether or not they could be used. So I guess abundance of caution, Judge Jesic decided to kind of hold off on it a little bit. Additionally, the DA had seen the report. It was intended for a June 13th parole hearing. And of course, they argued they should be able to use it. Deputy DA Habib Bailan essentially said, if there's something that is going to assess the risk of danger and of violence, then, and we have it, shouldn't we use it? Which makes sense. Governor Newsom confirmed that the report shared was relevant, with relevant information was given within the timeline within 60 days before the clemency hearing as required by California law. And they also offered to share with the judge if requested, and that this was not a standalone report, meaning it's not the end-all be-all. Extended family has said that they fully forgive the brothers for what they've done, and they think that they should be freed. One of the surviving family members had actually filed a complaint against DA Hochman, calling him hostile, dismissive, and patronizing during a family meeting that he had with the family. She said she does not trust him. And so essentially resentencing centers on two basic tenets: whether or not the brothers have been rehabilitated and whether or not they deserve a lesser sentence. Another tactic going on by the defense is potentially looking for them to have a lesser sentence of not life without possibility of parole, but it would be 50 years to life, which would then give them the opportunity to make them eligible for parole. Additionally, they have something called California Youthful Offender Law, which means that they both had committed these crimes before they turned the age of 26, which could potentially give them room to ask for resentencing. And that was the vehicle that was used that allowed them to be able to file that. Initially, when the hearing started, Judge Jesic was inclined to move forward with the sentencing because of the relatives, the witnesses, and the observers who came to view it. But with everything going on, he decided that he wouldn't be able to make a resentencing order within 2 days anyway. And even if Judge Jesic decides to shorten their sentence, the Menendez brothers would still need approval from the California Parole Board to leave the prison. And also, this isn't the first time that this has been resentenced. In January, the California wildfires caused issues. And then also with the previous DA actually being in support of the brothers and wanting them to be resentenced. And then when DA Hochman came in, then he was against it. So he's been kind of fighting that. And also there is a motion to recuse DA Hochman. It will also be discussed on May 9th. The Menendez attorney, markgaragos, has scolded DA Hochman for discussing the report during morning news conference and said he'd make a motion to recuse him, which means to get him off the case because of some sort of bias or maybe some sort of kind of negative connotation that a DA shouldn't have. Of course, the DA should zealously represent his client, which is the state of California. However, there are certain bounds that apparently that seems that the defense attorney feels that he's crossing. Also, Garagos also mentioned that the DA's office currently also handles the victims and tries to help them, the victims of the families that were murdered. And essentially, he has also argued that the DA has had a lack of contact, their office has had a lack of contact with these surviving members of the Menendez family, and that is just unacceptable. So in closing, I guess we're going to stay tuned for this. It looks like June 13th at the earliest. It may be later than that, given how many people get their items done that need to be done. So if you found value in this video, please like and subscribe. I am Recovering Perfectionist Mama, or Buffy, and I appreciate your time, and I hope you have a great rest of your evening. Have a great day. Bye-bye.